Namaskar, sir.
Well, my dear friends, today is on the 20th April, day of April 2020, and I am going to deal with the portrayal of women characters in A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. The first thing that you must know is that portrayal of women, according to feminist critics, is a very, very significant aspect of literature. In their discussion of the portrayal of women, feminist critics often point out the difference between the portrayal of women by male characters, male writers, and the portrayal of women by women writers, male writers and women writers. Now, or female writers. See, why is this very important? For feminist critics, the portrayal of women characters in by many of the male writers is vitiated by, it's called typecasting. Actually, male writers, while delineating women, often cast them in stereotypical roles of the angel in the house, or femme fatale, dangerous woman, or prudes, frigid, unresponsive characters. But feminist critics have tried to point out how this is a wrong approach, because women, their imaginary and their personality cannot be typecast or pigeonholed into set categories. Like any other human being, women too are capable of responding to different situations in different ways, both insofar as formative instances or incidents and manifesting incidents. For example, let me clarify this. There are certain incidents that form or formulate our characters. Our response to those incidents is, first of all, imbibing or infusing. That means we imbibe things. The controls that society plays on us, the way we are brought up by our parents or family members, the way we are treated by society, all these things leave their indelible mark on our personality, on the development of our personality. So this is called a formative instances or incidents. Similarly, there are manifesting incidents. For example, there are certain social, economic, intellectual, psychological, spiritual, religious, or sexual triggers that actually call forth our active responses. So, what feminist critics have tried to point out is the fact that women, like men, also react to both formative and manifesting incidents in their own unique way without being tethered to their biological or sociological categories of sex and gender respectively. But the beauty and the terror of literature is that there are writers, characters, critics, and readers who transcend this kind of fixed categories. That is why people like Shakespeare, people like Kalidasa, Rabindranath, Goethe, Marquez, even though they are male writers, have from time immemorial delineated women in all their breathtaking multiplicity and indeterminate. They have delineated women who are not flat characters but round ones. They do not remain all the time same or similar. They evolve and change. They mature with time and respond to time in their own unique ways. This introduction was very important in setting the stage for any discussion of the representation or portrayal of women characters by Charles Dickens in cities. First of all, after this foregoing discussion, let us point out who are the women whom Charles Dickens has delineated. I am not talking about the mob, the French or the English mob, who obviously contains women, but whose characters have not been properly developed or delineated by Charles Dickens. For example, there is also Jerry Cruncher's wife, who is ill at ease with the shady dealings of her husband. Jerry Cruncher, as we all know, he is a dead body snatcher who actually exhumes dead bodies from graves and sells those dead bodies to medical students for a profit. And whenever Jerry Cruncher does some such villainous deed, felonious deed, his wife can only respond to this by flopping down on the floor and praying for the salvation of her errant husband. I'm not talking about that. So I am not going to talk about Charles Dickens's delineation of such characters except in the passing, because Charles Dickens has not developed their character. So one character that I have talked about is Jerry Cruncher's wife. Who are the main characters, women characters that have been delineated by Charles Dickens in this novel? Obviously, there is Lucy Mann, Dr. Mann's daughter, the most important female character, almost the heroine of the novel, romantic heroine of the novel, Lucy Mann. Lucy Mann is a paragon of beauty and virtue. She is not only very lovely to look at, but also a very, very upright and at the same time sympathetic character, very maternal, very feminine, and in some ways very, very stereotypical. She is a beautiful daughter, as can very easily be seen from her very, very painstaking nursing of her seriously ill father. In fact, it is the careful nursing of Lucy Manet that brings back Dr. Manet to his mental faculties. As a beloved, Lucy Manet is very, very submissive and at the same time very, very forthright. She is given the choice to select one between the two, Charles Darnay and Sidney Carton. He chooses Charles Darnay, but at the same time is very, very gentle with Sidney Carton, which wins the heart of this cultivated wastrel and makes a man of him in the long run. With Charles Darnay, she is very, very honest and upright, very, very loving and docile. So far as her reaction to or treatment of her maid, Miss Pross, is concerned, she is like Miss Pross's daughter and loves and honors Miss Pross almost like her own mother. Her own mother. As a mother also, she is very dutiful to her son who dies in childhood and also to little Lucy. But at the same time, she is a courageous woman who can follow her husband to Paris, jeopardizing her own security and remaining true to Charles Darnay through thick and thin. So far as the woman who occupies the position of importance only next to Lucy Manet, obviously we have to talk about Madame Defarge. Madame Defarge is a creature of circumstances. All the injustice, nepotism, corruption, abuse, and chaotic situation of the French nation before and during the French Revolution are reflected in and through the character of Madame Defarge. We have to remember that it was her sister who had once been abused by Charles Darnay's uncle. It was her brother who had tried to fight and kill Vermont brothers, but was himself fatally wounded by a sword thrust from one of the Evermont brothers. So throughout her life, Madame Defarge has been brought up thinking about, brooding over all the wrongs heaped up against her family. That is why she becomes a vengeful woman. Even though some critics have tried to find fault with her for being almost inhuman in her revenge. We have to understand extraordinary situations create extraordinary effects. And the monomania and bloodthirst of Madame Defarge is a fit reaction to the oppressive. Hello?
আগের ওয়ার্ডটা বোঝা গেল না কি বললেন ম্যাডাম ডিফার
Madame Defarge is the creation of the circumstance.
হ্যাঁ স্যার এবার ঠিক আছে
She responds to the oppression of the French aristocracy, under which the lower classes in France had to groan and grovel for a long time. When she has the chance to pay the aristocrats back in their own coin, she grabs that chance with both hands. It is she who retains the names of the perpetrators of any foul deed in her knitting register. It is she who is at the foreground of the avenging women of Saint Antoine and who denounces one aristocrat after another without any compunction, remembering probably what these aristocrats or their peers have had often done to the lower classes. Now, that's the first. You have to understand, he is a complex character. We cannot just say that she is the embodiment of vengeance, because she can also be tender to someone like Ernest Defarge, the husband, and she had some sense of responsibility when she and her husband took charge of released prisoner from Bastille, that is Dr. Manage. The third woman that we have to talk about in A Tale of Two Cities, who has been properly portrayed by Charles Dickens, is obviously Miss Pross. Miss Pross is a middle-aged British maid who lives and breathes for her lady world. She has been with Lucy from her very childhood and is strongly devoted to her charge. Her antithetical opposition to Madame Defarge can be best summed up by the fact that she stands for devotion and protection, whereas Madame Defarge stands for vengeance. Miss Pross is also a character, also a woman who can jeopardize her own safety before a consideration of her moral responsibilities. And that is why she cares a fig for her own safety when she fights with Madame Defarge and accidentally kills her. In a way, Miss Pross is also delineated as a very devoted and loving sister because she is the sister of the worthless scoundrel Solomon Frost, who ultimately double crosses the British authorities as a French spy, Bassad. Obviously, we have to mention the characters Vengeance and Justice, the two companions of Madame Defarge. They are also vital reflections of Madame Defarge herself. They are called the satellites of Madame Defarge, and they are also equally against the French aristocracy of the time. They always stick to the more powerful personality among their peers. That is Madame Defarge. So we have already talked about Lucy Manet, Madame Defarge, Miss Frost, Vengeance and Justice, and Jerry Cruncher's wife. But any discussion of Dickens's portrayal of women characters in A Tale of Two Cities will remain positively incomplete if we don't refer to the mythic character of Madame Defarge's sister, the beautiful girl who had once been a victim to male concupiscence, flattery. This girl is very important as a trigger of plot development, because it is her predicament that leads to the weaving of the plot. It is her predicament that leads Dr. Manet to write a complaint against the Evermond brothers. It is indirectly she who ultimately causes the imprisonment of the doctor when his part in this affair is known to the guilty Evermond brothers. Similarly, her memory goes a long way in shaping and forging the character of Madame Defarge. It is the strong love that Madame Defarge bore to her sister that ultimately induces her to be the agent of death and vengeance against the oppressive French aristocrats. So, in sum, we can say that Dickens's portrayal of women characters is both circumstantial and philosophical. Dickens has not only depicted the women characters with all their unique idiosyncrasies or habits, yet at the same time, he has also pointed out what Cornell will call the grandeur d'âme or nobility of spirit of the women characters who sustain the edifice of the story through their multiplicity and limitless variety. Thank you, students, for listening to me and being attentive. In my next audio, I may discuss some other topic from A Tale of Two Cities. Thank you.